Hello, everyone. Today I'm here with Annalise. Annalise is a singer-songwriter from Canada and recently put out a song called Letters to Heaven and is currently releasing a new song within next week called Selfish. So, Annalise, would you want to tell the viewers more about yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Annalise. I'm from Montreal, Canada. I'm a singer-songwriter. I came out with my first album about, wow, it's been a year now. And I have my second one coming out soon. I can't say when, but it's going to be coming out this year for sure. I'm very excited and yeah, I'm excited to be on this podcast. I'm very excited. I love the name of it.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so you have a new song coming out next week called Selfish. So, would you want to tell the viewers more about this song and what we can expect from it?
Yes. So it's a little more up tempo, which is very different for my actual other stuff because I wanted to make it a little good summer song, but it still had to be a little more me. So all the lyric content is very sad still. But in the happy part, it sounds happy, so it doesn't really matter, It's a very melancholy kind of thing. So I touched on the subject selfishness because I don't feel like I'm selfish, but I feel like being selfish sometimes means you need to take care of yourself. And I felt like I really wrote selfish about being in one-sided friendships and relationships that I felt like, so I'm here for you all the time, but why aren't you there for me when I need a friend ever? You know what I mean? So that's where I switched it up and I was like, okay, like I'm done with having this one-sided friendships. I was like, I can't take on all your pain all the time. Like, it's not fair to me. I was like, yet when I ask you for advice, for example, it's like, for example, if you ask someone for advice and then they're like, okay, can you stop making it about yourself? I'm like, yeah, it's always about them. You're like, wow, you know what I mean? So that's what I wrote it about. I was realizing that with a few of my friendships recently, and I was like, yeah, it just sounds right.
So you've also recently released a song called Letters to Heaven. And if you're comfortable with it, would you like to talk about the song and could you leave a message to the viewers that are going through the same thing?
So I wrote Letters to Heaven. It's one of my most personal songs I've ever written. It was actually the very first song I ever wrote alone. And I wrote it about 5 years ago now, after I found out one of my childhood friends committed suicide. And I mean, I used to live somewhere not in Montreal. And I lived in Quebec City. And I mean, like after I moved, we lost touch and everything. But I mean, we did grow up for a significant amount of years together. And then I find out on Facebook about his death a few years later. I was like, so I didn't even know he passed. But when he passed, he was 15 years old when he took his own life. And it really hit a chord in me. I was like, wow, we're the same age and it just didn't sit well with me. I was just heartbroken. I was like, you should be growing up with me. You shouldn't be gone already. Like, it made me so sad that he felt like he was in such a place of that there was no way out. And I feel like in our society, a lot of people feel that way. Like everyone says, oh, you're not alone. And you think it's so cheesy. But I'm like, you don't realize how many people are affected by depression every single day and might have had this thought go across their mind, including myself. I mean, I opened up about it on my socials because I felt it was important to talk about. But I mean, like, it gets to a point I just I couldn't bear it. That I couldn't bear it seeing another person feel like there's no way out of this, especially in those primal years of being a teenager. We think that high school is everything. Once you're out of high school, I mean, I think you feel maybe the same. Once you're out of high school, like that's when your life starts, really. So I wrote that song in honor of him and me coping with the loss of a young someone your age. And I felt like in that week another person from when I went to high school passed away, and it was just like a sequence of people who are way too young to pass away.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, it was my only way of coping, and that's why I wrote it. And I wanted all the proceeds. I didn't want any money from the song because that's like, no, like that's, it just doesn't feel right. And I wanted to make a difference, so I wanted all the proceeds of the song to go towards Suicide Prevention Canada. So Talk Suicide Prevention, that's the actual name of the organization. And anytime people stream the song, if that's the only song anyone hears from me, please make it that one, because every time you hear it, you know that every stream, every time you stream it, you are making money for this foundation, and we're able to save people and make sure that they have the resources to see a psychologist, to see a therapist, to get the meds they might need. Like, I feel like a lot of it's a chemical imbalance that people don't even realize. So that's why I wrote the song. I just wanted to help. That was like the long, most rambly answer, but that's the honest truth.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. But it comes across in everyone's life at least at one point, and I feel like we need to talk about it a little more than we already are.
Yeah. So I saw that you performed at the Cameron House a few weeks ago for Canadian Music Week, and I wish I was able to make it. So how was the performance and the whole experience?
It was actually really fun. It made me fall in love with performing again, because I really don't get the chance that often. And I was so excited, and I felt like it was a really fun night. I think the only battle I had that night was with the microphone stand, because someone decided to tie a knot with the wire onto the stand. So I'm like, I'm taking it off. So I was like dragging the stand at one point. I'm like, okay, this isn't working. We're gonna just have to stand the entire night. But besides that, it was actually really fun. I'm really happy how it went. The sound in that room was really fun. Shout out to the bouncer who thought I was underage and had to card me right after my performance.
Gosh.
Oh boy, that was really funny. I came off stage, I had a drink in my hand, and I went outside to take a picture, and I was coming back and he's like, I need your ID. I'm like, my purse? I just got off stage. And I was like, he's like, you look like you're 12. It's like, thank you.
Oh my god.
Yet I literally had a drink in my hand. I was like, okay, I'll go get my ID. You can follow me if you want. And I'm like, I'll show you. It was a fun night all in all. Got to meet some incredible people. Canadian Music Week has always been very kind to me, and it's been a lot of fun getting to know, seeing people who you've met before, like maybe the year prior, and seeing them again. We're like, well, we meet again. So it's nice to see everyone, especially when the whole country comes together from one way or another. Like, there's people from Saskatchewan coming in, there's people from Vancouver coming in. I felt like I was the only one from Montreal, but I mean, like, I know there was more, but it's still really fun. You got to see some artists you actually look up to and connect with so many I can't talk today. So many incredible people.
Amazing. So following along with that question, do you have any upcoming performances for this year? And yeah.
Well, you know what? It's in the works. I'm not sure yet, but it's in the works for sure. And when it happens, I'll let you know for sure, because I really want to get back into performing. I mean, like, I think it was the most incredible thing is now everyone was going into a venue and you weren't having to wear a mask.
So do you have any new upcoming music that you can tell us about?
Upcoming music. So Selfish. Okay, so I'm going to say this. So since it's a Canadian podcast and we are a bilingual country, je parle français, je viens de Québec. Ma première chanson va sortir la semaine prochaine en français. So I'm very excited for that. So Selfish French version is coming out on Wednesday next week.
Oh.
And it hits the radio on Monday. So I don't know when this podcast is coming out, so let me get my calendar.
I think it's gonna come out.
If you're listening to this past the 19th of June, it's on the radio somewhere in Canada. So I hope you like it. It's already out it's past the 21st. So the French version's coming out, and and it's really great. It will be my very first radio song. So I'm very excited about that. And the English version will follow. So it was done I wrote it originally in English, and then I realized, I'm like, hey, almost like, why don't I have a French song yet? Almost like, that's a little silly. Almost like, my father's French. That's why I was like, well, that's a little silly how you don't have a French song. Well, let's make it happen.
Now it's happening.
And now it's happening. Here we are. So I'm very excited for that song. It's very like upbeat, I feel like it's a real summer vibe of a song.
Sure. So this is the last question. And if there was someone out there in the world that has never listened to your music, what are 3 words that you would describe your music with, And what song should they listen to first? That was a long question. Sorry.
It was like, let me think. So first of all, I would describe my music as sad, duh. Um, so sad. Am I allowed to curse on this? Oh, fuck you. If that's one type of word. If that's just one word, just make it
Yeah.
one word there. And vibey. That's how I would describe it. Well, we're dark. I was like all over the place there, but you know. But and also if you were to listen to any of my song, I would say listen to Letters to like if you want to be in a happy mood, I mean listen to Selfish. That's more boppy. But if you had to hear only one of my songs, please listen to Letters to Heaven because it goes to a good cause and it helps us raise awareness.
Yeah.
So we don't lose our friends.
Yes.
So that's what I would say.
So that was all the questions. So thank you so much for coming on. It was great having you.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was a great chat.
No problem. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.